This is the new iFlight Defender 20 Lite with DJI O4 built in. The 20 is because it has 2-inch props, and the Lite is because it's way lighter than the original Defender 20, which used the DJI O3. The new Defender 20 Lite has an all-up weight of just 108 grams, which means it's going to fly much better, and it's going to be much quieter, which makes it great for new FPV pilots or pilots at any skill level who want something to fly indoors or in public places around people. Now, you guys know that most Cinewhoops sound like a flying vacuum cleaner. This one sounds more like a mosquito. Here's what it sounds like. iFlight has been able to make this drone so lightweight by using the DJI O4 Lite system, which saves a ton of weight over the DJI O3, has excellent range and penetration, and records some very respectable 4K 60 gyro stabilized video. We'll talk more about video quality in just a second. The Defender 20 Lite has some features to make life easier for new FPV pilots, like smart batteries, which are very convenient to charge up over USB-C and will put themselves into storage mode automatically, just like the smart batteries for DJI's camera drones. That's a real advantage for new pilots because it means you don't have to mess around with balance chargers if you don't want to. That makes this a great option for DJI pilots who want to get into the world of FPV, and if you already own an Avata or an Avata 2, you already have a compatible remote instead of DJI goggles. And if you're completely new to FPV, you can pair the Defender 20 Lite with some budget-friendly gear like the goggles N3 and a Radiomaster Pocket, and you'll end up with a digital FPV starter kit with the latest digital tech for much less than it would have been just a few years ago. This also makes a great little travel drone because you can toss it in your bag and leave the balance charger at home, and it does come with a very good quality travel case. Another cool feature of the Defender 20 Lite is that you can remove these prop guards just by removing 4 screws, which will make the drone less noisy, and it'll be better for freestyle flying with nothing obstructing the airflow off of these props. You will want to leave the prop guards on if you're a new pilot or for indoor flying or if you just want to fly close to people, but it's nice to have the ability to fly with or without prop protection in different circumstances. There's a lot to like about this drone, but it's not perfect, and there is one thing that really bugs me about it. Let's take a closer look. Here's what the drone will look like when it comes to you. Inside the cardboard box, we've got a very nice clamshell style zipper case to protect your goodies. The drone comes with 1 battery with that proprietary connector. You do get a charging dongle with a standard XT60 connector and a balance lead to connect your battery to a standard balance charger. And a parts bag with a prop remover tool, a screwdriver, an extra set of landing feet, and a 1.5mm Allen wrench. And we get a quick start guide, some user manuals, safety warnings, and stickers. And the drone itself. It looks awesome and feels great in my hands. iFlight drones have a more refined design than other brands, and the Defender 20 Lite is no exception. Even though it's super lightweight, the Defender 20 Lite has a solid, premium feel to it. The frame is made from molded plastic and a 2mm thick carbon fiber plate. These prop guards are super lightweight. They only weigh 4.7 grams and they're very low profile, which means they don't add efficiency like taller ducks would, but flight characteristics are much better because these low profile guards just slice right through the wind. Since they're so lightweight, they could eventually break in crashes, but they are pretty durable, and I've crashed mine several times without breaking them. If you do break the prop guards, replacements are just $6. The frame has a built-in USB-C port to plug in your flight controller, which makes life so much easier when you need to plug into Betaflight. There's also a plug for an optional LED light strip and an antenna mount that holds that DJI O4 antenna super securely. The drone does come with rubber inserts to keep those USB ports clean when you eventually crash, but I always lose those and I've already misplaced them. On the bottom, we do have access to the USB port and bind button on the DJI O4, and there are some cutouts to provide ventilation for the DJI O4 system. The motors are iFlight's unbranded 1103 14,000 kV motors, and inside we have an F411 all-in-one board. I have the ELRS version, and the ELRS receiver is installed right here behind the camera. If you want to use your DJI remote, make sure to get the plug-and-play version. The drone uses iFlight's own proprietary 2S 600 milliamp batteries. Notice we have a unique battery connection instead of the standard XT30. The design is sleek and easy to use because you can charge them up 3 at a time over USB-C, and they click right into the drone, which turns it on and off like this. I think new pilots will really appreciate the convenience of this system because you don't have to mess around with battery straps or balance chargers, and these batteries will automatically discharge down to storage voltage when you don't fly for a few days. But veteran FPV pilots are going to be super annoyed by this proprietary design because you can't use other batteries you already have. That was a real limitation for me because I have a fleet of drones and piles of 2S batteries, but I couldn't use them and I had to wait for these 2 proprietary batteries I have to charge. Also, this dongle that's included with the drone is not very convenient to use because it has to be plugged into a balance charger. For me, that defeats the purpose of having a smart battery since I still have to use a balance charger. And I could only charge 1 battery at a time because I only have 1 of these dongles, which really isn't very convenient, and it feels like it contradicts the whole design philosophy. iFlight does have a super convenient charging hub, which allows you to charge 3 batteries at a time and plugs right into USB-C. Unfortunately, it's not included with the drone. You have to buy it separately, and it costs $26, and these batteries will run you $16 each. If you're considering this drone, I think you should budget for a couple of extra batteries, and you really want to get that USB-C charging hub because it'll make the overall experience so much more convenient, which is really why you would buy this drone in the first place. The DJI O4 camera is soft mounted on these rubber grommets to prevent Jello and allow the camera to collect clean gyro data. Since the DJI O4 Lite is very sensitive to vibrations, a soft mounting solution like this is important because if the camera isn't isolated from the vibrations transferred from the motors through the frame, you would see weird distortions in your footage and stabilization wouldn't work. In my experience, the soft mounting system on the Defender 20 Lite works pretty well. I was able to get some smooth, usable 4K footage in the right lighting conditions. And Rocksteady and GyroFlow did work when I needed to stabilize my footage. Keep in mind that I am flying in pretty windy conditions. I live in Ecuador in the Andes Mountains, and there's loads of beautiful flying spots here, but it's pretty hard to get away from that wind. In bright sunlight, I did get some Jello that was hard to avoid, and unfortunately I don't have ND filters that will fit this drone, which means I can't control my shutter speed manually like I normally would. So when the sun comes out, the camera bumps up the shutter speed in order to expose the image correctly, and that's when the Jello crept into my video. iFlight does have an ND filter set designed specifically for this drone that'll run you $15. If you're serious about getting the best quality footage you can, you really want to pick up a set of those ND filters in order to control your shutter speed. I also reduced sharpening because the default settings have too much digital sharpening for my taste, and I think the footage looks better without it. The footage I can get from the DJI O4 Lite looks pretty good, but image quality does deteriorate in low light conditions because that small sensor can only let in so much light, and as soon as the camera starts bumping up the ISO, the image gets real noisy, real fast. Naturally, the image quality is not as good as something running the DJI O4 Pro like the bigger Defender 25. But that drone also weighs twice as much and costs twice as much as the Defender 20 Lite. If you consider the cost and weight of this system, the Defender 20 Lite running the DJI O4 does a pretty good job, and most pilots who are looking for a first drone to get started in FPV or a lightweight travel drone are going to be very happy with the image quality you can get out of this. I do have links to both drones down below if you want to compare specs. If you're learning FPV or just flying for fun, all this pixel peeping doesn't really matter all that much. Just go out and fly and have some fun. iFlight says you can get 6.5 to 7.5 minutes of flight time with these batteries. I didn't get quite that much flight time, but I did get some nice long flights, around 6 minutes if I'm just cruising cinematic style, or 5 minutes if I'm doing some mixed style flying, and 4.5 minutes if I'm really ripping. Now, if you're coming from DJI drones, that sounds short, but in the world of FPV, over 5 minutes is great for a micro quad like this, and it feels like an eternity once you're in your goggles and that adrenaline really starts pumping. This drone does have some serious pep, and with this lightweight design, the drone flies great. Those 1103 14,000 kV motors are super powerful, and iFlight says the hover point is around 25%, which seems about right. The durability of this drone has been pretty good. I did crash it several times, and other than some minor scuffs in the props, I haven't damaged anything. Those flexible prop guards do their job, and since the drone itself is so lightweight, it doesn't have that much inertia, which means the prop guards can absorb impacts and it just bounces off walls and obstacles without breaking during crashes. You will eventually break those prop guards during hard crashes, so it is a good idea to pick up a spare. This drone has plenty of power to rip around outdoors, but if you're a new pilot, or if you plan to fly indoors, you might want to scale down the throttle a little bit to make it easier to control, at least at first while you're getting used to it. To do that, you'll need to download Betaflight Configurator onto your computer, then you can connect your quad by plugging a USB data cable into that rear port of the drone. Once you're connected, open up the PID tuning tab, then rate profile settings. Under throttle limit, select scale, and then select a percentage that fits your needs. I recommend 80% if you're just learning to fly or if you want to fly indoors. You'll still have your full throttle resolution across that 80%, which will make the drone easier to control. Then you can dial that number back up when you feel like you need more power. Alright you guys, now it's time for my conclusions. I really went into this review thinking that this drone is just for beginners and it doesn't have much to offer experienced pilots because of that proprietary battery design. But I've come to realize that that isn't really the case. It is marketed towards beginners, but the portability and convenience of this system makes the Defender 20 a great travel drone for pilots at any skill level. Some of the best FPV shots I've ever gotten have been on vacation, because that's when I get the opportunity to fly in new and exotic places. And in those situations, portability and convenience is huge. Photographers say that the best camera is the one you have with you. And that's true of drones also. Of course, I own bigger and more capable drones, but they aren't as easy to travel with. Although, to get that level of portability and convenience, you do need to pick up that USB-C 3-channel charging hub, which brings me to the thing that really bugs me about this drone that I mentioned in the intro. I really wish the USB-C charging hub were included in the kit, because it's basically required to use these smart batteries as they were designed to be used. This little dongle is fiddly, and it requires a balance charger, which defeats the whole purpose of having smart batteries, in my opinion. Also, don't forget to add some extra batteries and an extra set of props, because you only get one battery and one set of props with the drone. I also recommend the ND filters to get the best image quality possible, and probably an extra prop guard for future repairs. You know you're gonna need it. Now, as long as you don't mind adding on those extras, I think the Defender 20 Lite can make a great travel setup for any FPV pilot, and if you're a new FPV pilot, the Defender 20 Lite is a great way to get into FPV, and if you already own a DJI remote or a set of DJI goggles, it's a no-brainer. What do you guys think of these proprietary batteries? Are they a convenience or a deal breaker for you? Let me know down in the comments. I want to know what you think. Please don't forget to subscribe, and here's some videos I picked out for you guys. All right, I'll see you in the next one.